My name is Jason Arnold, and I'm the manager of the Fredericton location of Strange Adventures. One of the things that I take a great deal of pleasure in is when a group of people come in and it's clear there's 3 or 4 that are directly engaged with what's going on in the store, and you get that 1 or 2 people that they're standing there, they're looking bored. They clearly are assuming there's nothing here for them. And if I can just show them 1 or 2 things that makes them go, oh, I didn't know comics were like this, that's great. Even if I don't make a sale right then and there kind of thing, just knowing that there's one more person out there realizing that, comics are, well, there's something for everybody in all ages and tastes. So it's one of those labors of love, hard to call it work most of the time. And I told them when I applied, I was like, you'd be wise to hire me because the paycheck is pretty much going to get handed back to you. So mainly to supply my habit, yeah. It wasn't that long ago, there really weren't any comics being made for kids. I mean, there are rare exceptions like Bone, which is a fantastic all-ages read, but we're seeing more and more product being made for them. I still think Marvel and DC both need to sort of wise up a little bit in that regard as well. They could be making more product to bring younger readers in, kind of thing. Maybe if we see one more generation, like one more turnover at companies like Marvel and DC, maybe people of your generation or younger will actually bring that more progressive thinking to the companies. Potentially the whole digital downloading thing could be a problem. Sometimes I think that it's even the mainstream comics themselves sometimes can be their own worst enemy. For example, we're getting a lot of news about the DC New 52 and specifically the role that women play in it, whether it be the characters in the books or the creators of the books. Because of certain mentalities or whatever, those kinds of things sometimes get missed. And this, basically there's this giant market out there that are slobbering for this product, but they keep kind of pushing them away, saying, yeah, we want you to buy these books, but we don't want to make books for you, kind of thing. So there's also a lot of controversy about not enough comic shops that are welcoming to women. How there was a cartoon series a few years back called Teen Titans Go that brought all kinds of new young girls to these characters, specifically Starfire. And then DC does this big relaunch, and the book featuring Starfire in it, she's not quite the same interesting character anymore. She's become a little bit of a cheesecake. And some of these young girls that were younger when they were watching the cartoon have grown up and they want to read a comic with her, and it's not exactly a comic made for them. And from what I understand, from what I hear, Dan Didio's response was, well, that's not for younger girls. They shouldn't be reading that comic, And that right there, to me, that's where I see a problem. They're saying they want these young female readers, but then they say they don't want them reading these comics that potentially could be appealing to them, So smarten up, DC. Still in that male, like 16 to 35 kind of range. But the majority is shrinking, and every day, I mean, there are days where you can look in this comic shop and it's all women shopping, like half a dozen to a dozen people in the store, and they're all female, So that's thankfully changing drastically. And again, this is just in the last like 5 to 10 years kind of thing. The mainstream superhero books, that is the lion's share of the market. But again, that's changing too. I think more and more people are cluing into the fact that comics are like movies, where even if you do love summer blockbuster movies, most people don't only watch that. They'll also watch a documentary, or they'll watch a Western or a romantic comedy or whatever. And people are cluing into the fact that comics are like that too, that you don't have to just read superheroes or just read crime comics. It's you follow the creators you love, you follow the stories that you think are good, the art that's great. Don't limit yourself. And I always try to stress that, especially with the superhero fans. I'm not saying don't buy superhero comics, but I'm saying just do yourself a favor and look at what else is out there. It's like food. Don't eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all day, every day. Have some pizza, have some Chinese food, branch out and find some other foods that you like, or in this case, find some other comics that you like. This is All-Star Superman. You don't have to be a fan of superheroes, and you don't even have to be a fan of Superman to love this one. It's just remarkably well written. The general premise is Superman has a finite amount of time to live. He knows he's going to die soon. Anybody faced with that situation, what do you do with the time that you do have? Now imagine you can do almost anything. Then what do you do with the time you have left, right? And there's a parallel with the 12 Trials of Hercules there. It's really sweet. There's a love story in it as well. Lots of action in it too. It's really clever, really funny, beautiful artwork, beautiful writing. The New Frontier, it's actually, you can either get it in the 2 soft covers like this, or there's a slipcase hardcover edition called Absolute. New Frontier. It's well deserving of that treatment, but if you can't afford it, you can definitely get these. This is One Soul. It's done by Ray Fox. Guy lives in Toronto. This one's a really cool experiment. He takes the 9-panel page layout and doubles it up for both pages. So you got 18 panels. The first panel is early human history, and you scroll down through until you get to modern human history, and each panel represents a different character. So you see these characters from conception to death, and some of them die sooner than others, kind of thing. It's a remarkable work because you have these parallels with these lives despite the fact that they're separated by centuries and geography. It's kind of amazing to see, the person in early human history asking similar questions in their life as the person that's closer to when we're living. And even once the characters pass away and the panel goes dark, you get this sort of metaphysical, sort of philosophical discussion about life and death. And just a really beautiful work. I'm looking forward to a second time through just because I can't hold it all in my head at once, kind of thing. This is Hark a Vagrant from Kate Beaton. She's a history buff. Actually, I think she has a master in history. And she discovered that she didn't want to work in museums. So she started doodling comics, and it turns out she's really good at it. And I did terribly in history. So some of the jokes go, but even when that happens, it's still really, really funny. So if you want to laugh and maybe even learn a little bit, because that was the thing with her first book, a few of the jokes I didn't get, I found myself researching. So while you're laughing, you may be learning a little, and I can't recommend this one enough either. And grab it soon, because they'll probably go out of print just like Never Learn Anything from History. They sold out really quick. It's funny, eh? I mean, something that's so not real. I mean, it's like I said, it's just ink on a page, but you become attached to them. It's like they're real people. Yeah. Anyways, considering that these are just bits of ink on paper, you become attached to these characters. You'll want to know what happens next in their life. So the Eisner Awards, that's that's like the Oscar for comics kind of thing. It's the creme de la creme, named for Will Eisner, one of the greatest creators out there. So we won an Eisner Award for Comic Shop. We've appeared in Reader's Digest magazine as being one of Canada's greatest comic shops. We actually appeared in a Superman comic back in the day. And not too long ago, actually, we appeared on the cover of a Godzilla comic too. So I think we'll probably all make out all right, for the most part anyways.